That way. Straight back. 2 inches. I think it'll clear it. It may not. 1 inch. 1 more inch. That's good. Y'all, it's breakup season here in Alaska, and I can't say if it is earlier this year than last year, but it's definitely not late. We had a huge melt back in January. We have some ponds forming right now. These are super short-lived. We've got this big one right here in our driveway, and this is the one that filled up our shelter logic. We also have another pond that forms by the sawmill. Bandit used to hop back and forth between them, but as soon as the ground thaws, this will just drain right down. It's melting pretty quickly. I don't think it's gonna stick around much longer. Eric's got the tote loaded up, and we're headed to grab some fuel. Is that a joke? It's over on this side.
And then I gotta open the top. Get some airflow.
The sun's like blaring in these windows. I gotta watch these plants, make sure they don't get too hot. All the snow's melted off the Quonset.
Right here. Gravity feeding some fuel into our heating oil tank. The heat system is shut off in the shop. It'll remain that way until it starts to get cold again.
Hello, everybody. Funnel's looking good. Flowers are looking good. I moved the sweet potatoes over here just to create a little more room. All right, everything looks good out here. We're gonna pop into the outdoor garden and see how things are doing. So it's pretty much snow-free in here. A little bit of clumps here and there. We prepped the beds last fall, got them all ready. I was actually in here looking at the garlic the other day. So far, no signs of life. Normally, I would have no concerns. Usually garlic does overwinter in Alaska, especially the kind that we grow. The last 2 years we've had mediocre crops, mainly because during our move we weren't able to care for it at the old property, and then it didn't overwinter really last year or last winter. So I'm really hoping that this overwintered. There's a lot of garlic in both of these beds. The snow literally just melted, and you can see there's still ice. Oh shoot, where'd my garlic go?
It's in your armpit. Your other armpit.
Oh. Gardening here can be a little bit challenging, and we have been navigating through that. With our new place, you know, it's gonna take us a while to figure out what will overwinter or not. I'm a little anxious to see like what made it. We didn't have the harshest winter in the world, but we are still in zone 1, so it's very cold. There's a lot of plants that could possibly perennialize. I did start some of them again this year out in the seed room, just as like a backup. Ideally, it does take a lot of work for me. I would appreciate if they did come back and I don't have to do that every year. Obviously, there's some things like fruit bushes, you know, asparagus. You wouldn't restart that every year. You really need it to perennialize. She's such an explorer. Do you think there's any garlic then? Too early to tell, right?
What do you mean? I think it did amazing this year. Not only did we put all the dressings in there and actually take care of it, we put full fish in there.
I am happy to report that even though we are unsure about the garlic, the fruit trees look amazing, and I know they're small, but they're alive, and that's all that matters. So we had not very much success in the past when we grew them. I didn't really care for them, so I will definitely take that credit. And here, I've been trying to care for them much better with their roots and making sure there's not weeds, keeping the snow off of them. I came out here a few times in the winter and would just kind of very delicately brush the snow because their branches are so fragile in the winter. I don't know if it's just like the air sucks the moisture out of them, but they seem kind of brittle at that time. So I will very delicately scratch it and make sure not to accidentally crack anything. The snow itself only damaged maybe 2 tiny branches. I think one on this tree and then one on that tree. But as a whole, I could be wrong on this. The trees appear to be alive all the way out to the tip. So I don't see any dieback is what it's typically called if they'll shrivel up at the ends. And I don't see any major damage like breakage or snappage. It's too early to tell if there'll be any buds forming. We'll have to wait a few more weeks on that. But so far it is looking pretty promising. Pretty sure this is comfrey here. I can't remember what else is in this. Maybe cornflower, but I see something green. One's a weed and the other one's not. See? I should have brought the rake out here to kind of investigate a little more. You can kind of just pull off the dead mulch, dead branches from last year, but I don't honestly want to get into the beds quite yet. It's very early and there's more time for them to break out of dormancy. But that's pretty cool. I think we have comfrey coming back. That's the main root right there. She's not doing anything yet. Clearly we still have to finish the greenhouse, and the thing we're waiting on is for the ground to completely unthaw enough so we can dig in here with our backhoe, because we've got to get some posts in for the door that will open. I really don't have any concerns with these perennial bushes, haskaps, gooseberries, currants, rhubarb even. I'm not too concerned about it, but I don't see any rhubarb leaflets coming up yet. I kind of was poking around at them the other day. They don't look live, to be honest, but... This is the strawberry bed, and that's our asparagus bed. We are going to uncover the cold frames that we have. I was going to try and plant some stuff in them as soon as the soil warms up in there. They're a glass window, 2x6s in a 2x4 frame, so hopefully we'll be able to plant some stuff in there this year. It doesn't look like it to me. That's water. No.
No, it is frozen down there. Maybe like that far to my first knuckle.
But
2 inches.
if something were to germinate and it kept warming up in here. I could put it if you want. I'm not going to plant in that little bed because, in this one, but I would move it. The Quonset hut are just... You can see the second half of that calendar is blank, and that's because I haven't been doing any planting. We've just been so busy with watering and managing things, transplanting stuff. We have a totally full house in here. I have plants on the ground. It's clutter. Eric's gonna help me do some organizing and the painful part of thinning or getting rid of extra plants. It's not something I have enough strength to do, so he's really good at it. I'm also hoping to plant some of our brassicas, so cauliflower, broccoli, maybe some greens, cabbages, things like that. Last year was a huge push to get the whole garden and all the beds put in, and I know it's going to be awesome this year to already have that, but this year we didn't finish that greenhouse, and I feel like it's going to be a huge push to get that done so we can get all of these plants out there, probably even before some of those cooler stuff that goes outside. I'm still holding off on things like squash, cucumbers. We're not ready for that yet, and I have also been waiting on nasturtiums and sunflowers. In the past, I found they grow very quickly. The sunflowers like a lot of sunlight and they'll get really tall. Both those don't do very well with cooler temperatures at night. So I think I'm gonna start the nasturtiums, but I'll probably hold off on the sunflowers. We got our work cut out for us. Total madness out here. We did not get exactly done what we said yesterday. We were able to assess all of our pepper plants, take inventory on them, made just a few cuts last night and the rest this morning. I followed up with a spray of water, some soapy water, and essential oils. We did neem a few days ago, so I like to do this in between. Yesterday we were also just checking on them. A few of them, the soil, the pots that they were in were a little bit waterlogged. That's not good for them. And we also did a bunch of just other care to some of the plants in here, especially the ones that are a little bit lower down. Maybe they don't get quite as much circulation. The soil on a lot of these pots, because they've been in there for a while, was actually kind of crumbling and drying out on the top, and we needed to address that. So I went in, kind of scratched up the surface, loosened it up, put some new soil. Other plants, I actually did put some soil on the bottom of the pots and changed them out from the pot they were in to a slightly bigger one. A lot of time is spent out here. For the last month, I've just been out here so long, and I'll tell Eric, oh, I'm coming in an hour, and it's literally 4 hours later and I'll be walking out the door. Actually, usually he comes in and gets me. He's been super busy too for this last month. He's just been doing maintenance, repair, fixing things, just so busy. We're busy little bees right now. He brought us breakfast this morning, and everything that I didn't get done yesterday, I have to roll over to today. So still have a lot to do. I've not found a cauliflower that I like more than Snow Crown. It grows amazing. Problem is I actually try to grow way too much, and cauliflower heads get pretty big. They're a little bit hard for us to consume them entirely, and we prefer them fresh. That's always our favorite way to eat stuff. I try to stagger the cabbages and the cauliflowers and some of the broccolis just so they're not all ready at the same time. Usually though, because our season is so short, a lot of this is ready within a few weeks of each other. And it's just really a challenge to just get as much as we can down our gullets and preserve any extras if we have anything. And I don't know what I was thinking, but I doubled up on some of our broccoli seeds this year. It looks like I've got Green King, which is one of my favorite broccolis. Even though I keep inventory and try to write everything down, what I do sometimes is I'll put at the back, I will separate things that I've already started. So these are, it's just really helpful when you have so many different varieties. So I have cauliflowers that I started a little while ago, cabbages, parsley I started, and then in the front I left some that I wanted to start next time, but I already forgot, so I just saw these. This is a tray that's germinating. Looks pretty moist, like maybe the batch of soil I did was not mixed with enough of the dry stuff. So sometimes I'll just come in here and I'll pull out the plants if they've already germinated and transplant them up. Other times I will let them go a little longer. With the last tray, I had a few that take a little longer to germinate. I will just plant around those and keep like the tray kind of going. I find that this is like the perfect size for transplanting these brassicas from those first flats that I was starting them in. They grow into this little cell perfectly in just a few weeks and are ready for transplanting. As much as I would love to plant all of those nasturtium varieties, I simply cannot because I don't have enough space for them. They get huge. We got everything done that we needed to, thanks to Eric. Things look great out here. I can finally breathe a little bit. I've just got to get cleaned up for tonight and then I can head on out.
Dessert. Well, it's been 5 days since we hived our bees and we are going to check on them today. There are quite a few dead ones outside of this particular hive, which I don't really like, to be honest. I mean, they're probably cleaning out. There's obviously was dead ones when we installed them, so it's not that weird or alarming to see some dead bees outside, but there's significantly more in this particular hive than there is out front here. And this hive is humming pretty loudly when I approach them, so usually they're not that loud. Sometimes that's kind of a bad sign. Everything with the bees just feels like it's always out of my control, so I'm just gonna get in there and see what I find. I do need to remove that queen cage. I did need to give them some more sugar syrup, so this is just 1-to-1 ratio of water to sugar, and they drained that pretty quickly. The first day we hived them, the next day it was like completely gone, but they haven't been through it again since then. I'm also going to check their pollen stores. Ideally it would be warmer. It's in the upper 40s today, but it's not sunny, so I'm not super thrilled to be doing this, but I do need to get in there now. I'd like to disturb them as little as possible, but I just need to make sure that the queen did in fact get out and she's in there doing her thing.
We've got plenty of pollen. So far things look fine. They're like totally looking up at us. Their eyes are like at the top of their head. You can see it. It's pretty funny. They're over to this left side of the hive. They're filling up as many frames as I think they should. They haven't eaten too much of their pollen. Well, they've eaten a good amount, but they don't need any more yet. Good news, she is out of the cage. I saw a bee moving around in there and I got concerned. I thought it was the queen still in there, but they ate the candy. They probably ate it the first day and she's out in the hive now, I think. My guess is she's somewhere in here laying. I think that's the last frame I'm gonna try and take out. The rest I'll just leave. All right, I've spent too much time fiddling around with the hive, so I'm gonna choose to conserve their heat and get them put back together. I didn't find the queen and I didn't see any eggs. It's not weird that she's not laying yet. Maybe she is. There was 2 frames I didn't check. I'm pretty confident she's in there. And in my experience with the bees, like the less you do, the less you interrupt their process, the better they do. I'm just gonna try to have some faith that she's in there and we will see some eggs and larvae in I don't know, another week and a half or so. So we're noticing that a lot of bees are on the inner cover. It seems like more than usual. And I'm pretty sure what they're doing is because our inner cover is bowed, we have it flipped. The reflectix is actually supposed to be on the inside. Otherwise it was kind of smashing down on them. They really need like just the perfect amount of space, and there's this big bow right there from their frames to where the inner cover is, so they're like trying to make comb. But I don't have smoke out here today, so next time we come out we're gonna bring smoke and we'll take that reflectix off, try to get that inner cover back the way it should be, maybe even flip it and get it good for them, because otherwise they're gonna be building that comb out and we don't want that. This is not bowed as bad. Totally bigger. They're cleaning something or they killed something? Eric made an interesting discovery on this inner cover. I don't really know what's going on. There's something on there, some little white substance. This hive is clearly a lot bigger. They've eaten more of the pollen. Ideally, I would have had an internal feeder. I kind of just learned about those now. They're like a frame that you put inside and the bees can just get the sugar right there. They don't have to come up and break away from the hive to get food. I think that's why they're not eating as much anymore. Once things warm up, I don't think that should be a problem at all. Eric spotted her right away. She's got a blue marker on her. Looks like she's bouncing around doing her thing. We're gonna see if we can try and find some eggs. Everyone's utilizing this as a bathroom break right now. I think they've been wanting to get out, but the weather just hasn't been right. And I'm gonna put this back together. I didn't find eggs. I looked real quick, but honestly, I don't care. She's in there, the hive's looking good. So both of these guys, I think we're good to go for now. We don't have to check them for a while. All right, so we're 3 weeks into April now, and that is all the snow we really have left over there. We have these planer shavings from when we were working here in the winter, and the snow underneath them is like insulated. So there's a huge, that's all ice. It's kind of cool.
Grease this thing or something. It's like, hear it? It's like a little. The heat's been off in the shop for a little while now, but it is pretty cold today, so we're probably gonna have the door shut. But I did have the door open the other day, and it was awesome. It was like the first time where I just had the door open, the lights were off, and the shop was just awesome working in here. I got a lot of work done. I changed the oil in the boat. There's 2 little leaks I still have to fix before that's 100% ready to go, but the Polaris is 100% ready to go. So we went ahead and we changed the rear differential fluid, which was milky since there was water in there. The front was semi-dirty. I changed that, but the trans and then the mid-axle, those were good. I also had a chance to finally install these gas cans on the back, and I had to fabricate a couple mounts to get that done. This is gonna allow us to always have like an extra 6 gallons on here, 3 gallons in each one. Every time we go out, I always think am I gonna need extra gas? And if the answer is no, then I always bring extra gas because chances are you are gonna end up needing it. And these are pretty awesome. These are Rotopax gas tanks and they come with these mounts. These aren't the Rotopax mounts. These are kind of cheaper Amazon ones, but you just flip them, get them lined up, and then they pop out. Pretty simple setup. I couldn't just weld brackets onto this little rack back here because this is all aluminum and I was building these new ones out of steel. Put them on, it's as easy as that. We've got another day planned outside and we're gonna be taking off the winter stuff from the tractor and be putting the summer implements on.
You guys pretty? Do you think I could let the tan one out? I was thinking we could get a wood count because I don't really know what's our updated inventory.
See, that's a tree right there, that's a larch.
Is he alive?
There's no needles on it. Is there supposed to be needles on it?
Man, you made a dent in that wood the other day, hon.
My goal is to have it all, get it cut up and actually put it over there, all cut up, organized already.
You see the other one? No. Right here. It's a lodgepole pine. He looks alive.
Yeah, he's alive.
I got 47 on these first 4 rows. I counted all of them all the way to the bottom.
Here?
All the way to the bottom, yeah.
7, okay.
I'm counting 60, not including that mixed row. So you got 60, like
63.
65 to 60 something.
66, 67.
You have 10 more right there?
Right here?
Oh, yeah.
72 by 6s.
How many do we have of this?
78 1 by 6s. Man, these things are heavy. Okay. A little crooked. How about back further? Oh,
What happened?
what was that?
Your hydraulic thing came out. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't seem good to me, but it doesn't seem too bad either.
Like it bounced and the pressure blew it apart? Is that what you're thinking?
It happened at the same time. The tractor like bounced and this bounced because it was down. So it, like, see how you have it really down low.
That's weird. So let's just put it back. Those connect to the backhoe. Weird. Our winter setup on the tractor, it worked really well for us. So that included the chains on the back tires and then the big ballast that we built for the back that weighed 900 pounds. We did end up putting some 2-inch wheel spacers on the back wheels to push them out far enough to get the chains to fit on there. Obviously, snow's gone. We don't need the chains anymore. We just took them off for the season. And I was just over moving a bunch of logs, cutting on the sawmill and working over there, and the ballast, it was just awesome. The 900 pounds is a perfect amount of weight back there. I never felt like the tractor was gonna tip on us, but it is time to put the backhoe back on, and taking the backhoe off is really easy. It's 2 hydraulic lines and you basically just like use the arm on it and get the weight off of it, remove a couple pins and it pulls off. Getting it back on, it can go really easy or it could be a little bit tricky. But if you come down here and look, we've already got the lines hooked up to the backhoe, so now we can actually power it and kind of move it into place. And then we're gonna get these two little latches, I guess, right here are gonna go up on these bolts that we have underneath. So that's the back of the backhoe, and this backhoe is long, so it stretches like all the way to the front of the tractor. But once you get these back ones hooked on, the front just kind of falls into place. That's it forward. There we go, there we go. See that? Come on. That one's not working.
Can you imagine how long that would take without the grease gun?
Imagine if you were like a heavy lube mechanic and you just got to go get like
Like a semi-truck?
tractors, huge things. You got to go do like 20 on a job site.
thought there may be, I think there may be fat in here, but I could be wrong. So that's fish in the middle, so we definitely don't need to worry about that. There may be fat right there. If there's no fat, that's fat. And that's older. Do you want to process that, you're thinking?
That's from 2/20/2020. That's a year old, so yeah, you should probably just process all that.
That would be large.
That's all the moose.
Okay, we're down to the meat. We got like nothing. Bone dry minus the fish.
Okay. Is that a head?
It's a burb head.
Today we're going to be grinding up some fat and making mustard, and we are also going to make some popovers for breakfast. But first we have to soak some of the mustard seed for later. So we're going to be starting with 2 cups of brown mustard seed and 1 full cup of yellow mustard seed. And then we're going to add a whole bunch of cold water. I don't quite know how much yet. The key is you want to use cold water if you want a spicy mustard, which is what we're going for. The cold water preserves the heat, whereas if you use hot water, you kind of tone it down a little bit. I'm going to give that a quick stir, and then we are going to cover it up and just put it aside for about 2 hours. This will be our 3rd time making the popovers, and I'm hoping to get it right today. I've tried all the tips and tricks, but I haven't quite got them to the point that I want them, where they're really puffy and they have that air pocket on the inside. So we're going to start with 4 eggs. It's just eggs, flour, a little bit of salt, and milk. That's it. But the actual batter and how you cook it is what's key to getting them to be like a popover. Just a little bit of salt. And we're going to be using whole milk. It is room temperature. Just make sure. Yeah, that's definitely room temperature. That's 1.5 cups of that going in. Some of the tips and tricks that I read is being careful what flour you're using, making sure you're not using one with like too high of a protein content. So I did switch over to some all-purpose flour. Making sure the milk is warm is another one. You want to make sure the oven is nice and hot when you get the batter into your pan, and you want to have steam in the oven. Now we don't have the actual popover pan or little muffin tray that people use. We're just going to be using a normal one. But from everything I've read, you can still get a pretty good result that way. So we have about 1.25 cups of this all-purpose flour. The recipe usually calls for 1.5 cups, but I don't want this batter to be too thick. If it's too thick, that's going to prevent it from rising. So we're going to try reducing the amount of flour. We've got about 2-ish tablespoons of unsalted melted butter going into there. I'm going to pour a splash of 50/50 because the batter already looks a little thick to me, and I didn't even use all of our flour. So I think that's the problem. I think our flour is just super dense. We do a lot of bread baking, and I like to use a lot of those flours that just have higher protein. We don't want to overwork it too much. So even though this is a ceramic lined muffin tin, it's awesome. It never sticks. I am coating the little cupcake cells with some butter. So we return that tray to the oven for a few minutes. We have the oven set at 445, but 450 is what you're supposed to start it at. And then we're gonna throw these in there. I've got a cookie sheet in there that I'm gonna add some water to. It's gonna help introduce some more moisture, and they cook for about 20 minutes. Then you can kind of reduce the temperature. 350 they say for another 10 to 20 minutes. Just kind of keep an eye on them until they are to the point that you want to pull them out. Well, they definitely puffed, and we're going to poke a little hole in them to let that steam out. It looks like some of them already have little craters in there, especially that one. Those ones have holes.
They pop right out.
This one may be softer if you're like going for. I like the one that already had a. Oh my gosh, they're like air.
Yeah, they're like not much to them.
Oh, sorry.
Let's move that out of the way.
So there must be a science to these for sure, because you could tell those ones in the middle, they didn't really like rise the same as the other ones. I think they turned out awesome. Oh, this is yours.
This is gonna be good because it's noon and we haven't eaten anything.
They're very tan. Eric suggested we take them out earlier.
Oh, look at that. Okay.
So I think people like rip them. They like rip them up.
So what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, it's just like a pocket.
Oh, look at the inside.
It's a pocket of air.
That's beautiful. And I'm gonna flip it like that.
They're a little custardy,
Look at mine.
like the Dutch babies. They were much more custardy last time. I didn't get the pocket.
Oh. What is that? That tastes like bread pudding or something.
I'm getting a real eggy.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, like bread. So I think these are commonly eaten like savory, but Eric wants to maybe add some sugar, make them a little sweet next time. I mean, I guess people eat them with soups, stews, things like that.
That's one of the best things I've ever had. You nailed it. That's good.
While our fat's rendering, we are moving on to our mustard. We are going to be making 2 different recipes. We make this probably every 2 years or so, and we are out of it. So we're definitely due for some more. Mustard is super simple to make. There's only a few main ingredients and it is very economical. We generally wing this process and we don't repeat the same recipes, but last time we made a classic yellow mustard that was so good, we are going to make it again today. And that's what we're starting with. So we have mustard powder and mustard seeds. We're gonna be using just the powder for this, and I have Coleman's, which is yellow and brown mustard seed powder, and I also have this variety, which I think is just from the yellow seeds. I could be wrong on that. So we're gonna do about 4 cups or so into this Le Creuset because we are gonna heat it up just a little bit. Added some smoked paprika and salt in there. We also added some sugar. So when you first make this mustard, it is super intense. And I remember last time I was like, whoa, this is really, really spicy. And I was adding more sugar and vinegar. But if you just trust the process and give it time, it will mellow out and it's delicious. We're also gonna be adding some turmeric and some garlic. We're gonna get that grated in there, and then we'll add the vinegar and the water. We added 1.5 cups of distilled white vinegar, and we are going to start with 4 cups of icy cold well water. I made this last time and I thought, oh, this is a wonderful consistency, but it turned out once we water bathed it, it got kind of like thicker. So what I did when I would pop open a jar is I'd add a little bit of vinegar and I just kind of diluted it and make it the perfect consistency. So we are going to make sure we don't do that again. We immersion blended this and we did only add 2 cups of water, even though I just said 4. And I'm gonna add a little more of the mustard powder, probably about 1/2 cup. I want it just a hair thicker than it is. This may seem a little bit thin, but I think this is the perfect consistency. It's just, I feel like that powder is so powerful and it's just gonna absorb up that moisture once we can it. So we're gonna heat this up just a little bit and then we're gonna put it into our 1/2 pint jars and water bath it for probably close to 15 minutes. It's pretty thick, so I wanna make sure that we get that good seal on there. There you have it. We ended up with 6 jars and I did add a little bit of turmeric powder that I had on hand to kind of enhance the color. We've strained our mustard seeds. They did soak for several hours. They actually absorbed all of that liquid. We had to add more and we didn't keep any of the reserve liquid. We are going to be using wine and white wine vinegar
as well as some honey and salt for this. We are making honey Dijon. You can use a blender, a mortar or pestle, or an immersion blender, which is what we're gonna be using. We're gonna start with probably about 1.5 cups of this wine. That's 1.5 cups. We don't drink wine often. We're gonna add in 1.25 cups of the white wine vinegar. All right, folks, bringing out the ninja. All right, I think that was sufficient. We are going to sieve this now. We didn't know for sure if we were gonna strain it or not, but we are going to. It's gonna probably be a really awesome consistency. And then we will add our honey in just a little bit. Oh, I can't do that right now. Are you okay? Do you need a break?
Oh, God.
Do we have a pair of goggles over here or not? You got so much out when you were getting crazy on it there. Yeah, I don't think that's
Oh, it's like I almost, it's bad.
That's really bad. That was intense, but so worth it. The consistency is out of this world. We're gonna add our honey now. I was going to put a hefty amount. We're gonna start with 2 cups, and then we're gonna just slowly warm this mixture up, get this to melt in there a little bit, get it all incorporated, and then we can get it into our jars. We have 9 pints ready for the water bather. We ended up putting 3 cups of honey total, 1.5 cups of white wine vinegar, and 2.25 cups of the wine. Fat's been going for a few hours. We're going to strain the cracklings out, and then we're gonna do that second stage where we let all that water evaporate, all the bubbles we want to be gone. And then we put it in jars. We open kettle our lard. It stays good for a really long time that way. You don't need to put it in the fridge or anything, but we generally use ours within the year. Nice and steamy. Pretty good for a small batch.
Yeah.
It's so greasy. We've stayed fairly busy this past week, and it is nice to have that canning done. We were able to kind of like clean up our freezers. This is our freezer back here for our meat, and it is very low, I'm gonna be honest. This is our bait freezer, so we went through that too. We pulled out some stuff for dinner, and this is some chive pesto. I think this is chive butter. We're heading inside, and we're gonna make some salmon sourdough pinwheels. This is not sourdough discard bread. It's the real deal. I started the leaven yesterday, last night, worked the dough this morning, and she has been fermenting all day long. We've got kefir cheese. We have that stuff that we pulled out from the freezer and some mustard mixed in here. And we're gonna add some cheese to this as well. Because of the occasion, we're gonna top these with some cracklings. They're going in the oven and they're gonna be delicious. Just know it.
I got big broody chickens. I got big broody chickens. I got big broody chickens. Got big broody chickens. I got big broody chickens. Chickens. Chicken.